Okay.
Never mind. Okay. Should we do this now?
Yeah. What we're reviewing?
Sabotage.
Yeah.
Sabotage. Look at it there. Look closer. It's awful. This is the other one, okay, which goes together with Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, which is strange actually because there was a bit of a delay between the two, so it's kind of actually chronologically it's the first 5 and then there's a gap actually, but generally they go together. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Sabotage are the big widescreen epic ones, and they're kind of a little bit late out of the pen.
Out of the
starting
blocks.
Gun. You missed the starting gun. They had legal troubles, basically. That's why. The question is, how does it compare to Sabbath Bloody Sabbath? They're angry again. It's heavier. It's kind of more epic, as opposed to Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is surreal and introverted. But the heaviness is different. So it's not heavy like Master of Reality is heavy. It's not the doom-laden dirges. It's sharp and angry and shouty. The sound of the guitar is really harsh. And Ozzy's voice has changed as well, which I think we'll probably talk about. I wouldn't quite put it as high as Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, but it is a fantastic piece of work. There's what I would say there's 2 experimental moments on there. The experimental moments on Sabbath Bloody Sabbath as well. I'd say they're great and interesting, but they're not 6 egg great and interesting, maybe. But that was like a train. But it is an amazing, it's sort of melodramatic. It's much more epic and wide and melodramatic than Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Supposedly had a huge influence on Night at the Opera. So I suspect Queen went into the studio at that point. You've got to make a new album now, and it was there. It was because it was very important for Queen. It was like their make or break album, and that's what they were listening to at that moment. Apparently, I think that's more to do with the Writ, really. But yeah, there's also a song on there which invented Metallica as well.
Right, it's been a long time since we've done some Sabbath.
Yeah,
and I think we're gonna have to, I'm gonna have to revisit my thoughts on Black Sabbath again, all over again.
Yeah,
and it is basically, I don't understand it.
Really?
Ozzy Osbourne's this sort of Brummy from Aston, although there's some doubts about that.
I need me muffins. Muffins, go and get me muffins. Tony,
he
had a van.
And they decided that they were going to make music. And it's awesome. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, you look at Ozzy.
Look at there they are. Those people there. What are we doing tonight?
That's just it. I mean, you've got
that's genius.
For any kind of artistic work, there's some level of reflection, where you look at it and you say, "Is that what we want to do?" And I can't imagine the thought processes that these people are going through.
Yeah, this is harder to understand because the earlier stuff is more natural. They're just doing the natural thing.
Yeah.
Here, they've got to have thought about it.
Yeah.
And they've actually had a break and they've actually had to think about what do we do and how do we be creative. And it's brilliant.
It is. It's really, really good. As you say, shit cover. I mean, okay, so there's the point. They've signed off on that cover.
Yeah.
That's the level they're at. Yeah.
That's what you'd expect from people from Aston.
Yeah. I mean, what is Ozzy wearing there? I mean,
supposedly it is his wife's gown, allegedly.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, And I know, I sort of, I don't know Ozzy Osbourne's brother, but I know of him. He lived on my street, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he sort of personified Ozzy. He was crazy, just a complete nutter.
Yeah.
Really, really sort of, I would say, really outgoing. Likes his drink. And was just funny as anything, sort of thing. I can imagine, from that, I get a sense of what I believe Ozzy is like. And I cannot imagine his brother
making this.
At what point did Ozzy decide I'm going to be, okay, what will be good for me is if I'm a singer.
Yeah, I'll have this incredible range.
And he just does it. I mean, you said we would talk about his voice. In some parts, it's really, 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 really good.
Yeah.
He's sort of the, I don't know.
So high.
Yeah.
And really, really powerful. And yeah.
What's it? Robert Plant came to my eye. It's obviously not Robert Plant, Highness, but it's sort of.
But it's. Plant isn't a tortured soul.
No.
Plant is blues. You know, this is something else. This is a door into the mind of a tortured person, of someone suffering. It's, you know.
I mean, there's a little blues moment on here, or a couple of little blues moments. Sounds bluesy, and he does it. Sounds great.
Yeah,
it just sounds great. I mean, it's sort of like, well. So I mean, maybe we get a little bit more out of listening to Black Sabbath because we're still a little bit like, what,
from here, from us, this place here, really?
How did that happen? Because you can see why they're such a big band and why they're such a big deal, because it's all there on the music, and we're 6 albums in.
Yeah.
And, you know...
It's got better.
It's got
better.
How did that happen? This is great. Yeah, I agree with you. There's I was actually thinking when I was listening to it, I thought, I can just imagine James Hetfield listening to this in his car going...
I think so, yeah. Yeah. I can't sing like that, but yeah. If I just go, instead.
So, yeah, as you say, interesting, good guitars, great lyrics. There's some really, really...
Yeah.
They do, I mean...
They're pretty good lyrics.
Who writes it? Is it Bill?
all the songs except for one are written by Geezer, okay?
Geezer Butler.
Ozzy wrote the lyrics to the Writ.
No way.
I know. They're really good. Maybe they are more straightforward, but yeah.
But there's Megalomania, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how they just find an element of universality, you know, just leave me alone, sort of thing. And they drill on it, and you go, yeah, that's Megalomania, and it's sort of...
Megalomania's amazing.
It's great. It's all right.
That riff and the way it's chugging along is, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I love this. What's the crazy little instrumental? Is it Supertzar?
The epic instrumental is Supertzar. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was their opening tape for the concerts, as you can imagine. It's right. Black Sabbath, the entry of the Sabs. But supposedly they're the choir, obviously in the studio. Ozzy comes in, there's a choir. That he goes back out again. Thinks he's come to the wrong. So he went home. Thought he's come to the wrong studio.
So yeah, awesome, and I like the way it all runs into each other. Hole in the Sky is a bit strange, where it just sort of goes to the next one. I've been listening to it in the car, and I think, oh, phone's ringing. Oh no, it's not, because it just cuts in the way the music goes out when the phone rings.
I don't know what this phone in the talks to the car thing. My car does it. I don't want it to. I've rung someone on my phone. Right, I've parked outside somewhere. I'm waiting for someone, so I'll ring them. And the music goes off. I don't know what's going on. It's on here. I don't understand. I didn't do that. It's just connected.
Did you have Bluetooth on, Kev?
On the phone, yeah.
So yeah, great. I mean, really, really, really good. I'm so happy we're doing Black Sabbath again.
Yeah.
I didn't realise.
People at home will be thinking, But anyway, that's another story.
I didn't realise sort of. We've done a lot of good music sort of like this year.
Yeah.
But it's sort of the way of listening to it's different. It's sort of okay, you've got to listen and concentrate, and you go, oh yeah, that's a good little riff there, and oh, it's gone into something. Yeah, I really love that transition sort of thing. You don't do that with this. You just listen to it. And you
it's in your face, isn't it? It demands your attention.
The only thing that stood out for me a little bit actually was the drumming. I just thought the drumming was a little bit. How did you do it?
There is a bit of that.
Yeah, it's just a bit like. I thought, actually, that's a bit simplistic. That is. It feels a bit ploddy.
Yeah.
You know, bit vanilla.
I tell you what, though, I sent you a live album. I don't know if you get. I didn't know if you get time to listen to it. Yeah, but there's a live album from this era, Ashby Park, soundboard recording. Not just a soundboard, absolutely fantastically recorded, full show. I'll tell you what, if this legend of Bill Ward where he was never quite recorded. He's fantastic on that. It's such a creative drummer. He's the feel and he's doing all this different stuff, and he never does that, you know. But you're right, on the album, probably because he was drunk making the album, it starts to lean towards Lars a bit. It doesn't sound anything like Lars, but yeah. There's no war pigs, none of that.
So great, a great album.
But it's interesting, this era, of course, and to a certain extent the same as Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. They're not famous songs.
No, that was the other thing. I looked at the song titles and you think, well, how many of those would be on a Best of Black Sabbath sort of album?
I think most people now would have heard of two. Symptom of the Universe is famous. Now people would have heard of Hole in the Sky, but only because Metallica did it. Otherwise, I think just Symptom of the Universe. And a part of it, I assume, it was very hard to recreate live. This was one of the things Ozzy was moaning about. So this is the start of Ozzy not being happy. Is they couldn't really recreate a lot of that live. There are only 3 songs, and even Symptom of the Universe, they cut off the end section. It's just the heavy bit, sadly. But yeah, so there's lots of light and shade. Obviously they're trying to be epic. They're trying to be widescreen. But when I say light and shade, the light on some of the other albums is quite light and nice. There isn't very little nice on this one. I think actually the only place that happens is the Writ, where it returns to a kind of more Sabbath Bloody Sabbath style. The light is sinister and before it comes back in. I think Megalomania is my favourite song on there. It is an amazing. That is a Sabbath epic. There aren't many Sabbath epics, but that is a Sabbath epic, and it is fantastic. And it's just like I said with Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. There will be people watching this channel who are prog rockers who would think, well, Black Sabbath, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Sabotage are the ones you need to hear them. You might not like them, but you should definitely give them a try. Definitely. So yeah, my favourite songs, Megalomania's got to be the favourite, but also Symptom of the Universe and the Writ, I think, are fantastic. When I saw Sabbath in 1994, this is with Tony Martin and Bobby Rondinelli on drums, but it was with Geezer. I'd only just heard this album. This was actually the last Ozzy album of the original Ozzy albums I heard, and obviously it was all about Symptom of the Universe at the time. It's like, oh my god, it's so heavy, it's amazing. And they played it. They played it in 1990. It was the most bizarre, awesome set list. It was just, oh my god, they're playing Symptom of the Universe. It's strange. A couple of months before, I wouldn't have even known the song. And of course, they hadn't played it for years. Very strange. That's the backstage passes incident. I don't know if I actually told the backstage passes incident, or did I actually tell the story in the end? Or did I
remember.
Yeah, so this is my first concert I ever went to, Wolverhampton Civic Hall. It was loud. It was really loud. It's one of the loudest concerts I've ever been to, and it was. There was 2 support bands. One was Godspeed, not Godspeed You Black Emperor, just Godspeed. They were terrible, and it was the most. That was my first, because they were the support for the sports. So the first band. That was my first concert experience. It was the most bizarre, blank faces in the audience, nobody moving. This sort of thing. I learned later on there was some sort of disagreement with the other support band, which was Cathedral. And that might have been the reason, actually. But they were pretty terrible. They had 2 bass players for no reason. It was just awful. So yeah, Cathedral were pretty good. So that was good. And then we had Sabbath with the weird set list and the singer who didn't necessarily suit all the songs but could sing them all. But because I was in the Black Sabbath fan club, I had backstage passes to see Black Sabbath. And of course, I'd gone with my parents. There was me and my brother and my mate and my parents, because they wanted to see. That's Black Sabbath, is it? Okay. My parents had because they'd already been to concerts. They used to do the cotton wool thing in their ears, even when they'd seen Eric Clapton and stuff like that. So the concert finishes and we have to go backstage, and we didn't know where to go. And we had to find where to go and all that stuff. And we're standing in this room, and there's like these little groups of people around the room. Standing talking, and we're standing there and just standing there sort of embarrassed. There's 5 of us, so we're quite a big group in the corner of the room standing there, and And I realised, there's Bobby Rondinelli. Bobby Rondinelli was in the corner, holding court. You could tell he was a star, like, you could tell he did that kind of stuff. And you had Tony Martin going around the room talking to each group of people, and he was coming. We were sort of standing there, and I don't know, where's Geezer? Where's Tony? I didn't know. They don't go to these things anyway. Thankfully, it's kind of a relief. But it was just so embarrassing. We just should we go there? Yeah, let's go. We left. We didn't get to meet Tony Martin. It was just too embarrassing. Oh, there's my parents. And I was 16, just turned 16. April 94.
That was a good set list, though.
Yeah, I mean, you had Into the Void and The Wizard and Symptom of the Universe mixed in with Neon Nights and whatever. But yeah, Symptom of the Universe invented thrash. I think that's really, people would say, but it's more subtle than thrash. It has the acoustic bits. So does Master of Puppets. Battery. Battery is based on Symptom of the Universe. So people say, well, it's not real thrash. Yes, it is. I genuinely think without that song there would be no thrash. I don't think so. I think it would be rubbish, probably kind of punky. You wouldn't have got that particular thing. Then the fast bit is kind of very un-Sabbath in that it's very straightforward and and other than Paranoid, they don't really do that. So that is interesting. And of course it's the flat and fifth again, so it is the fast version of Black Sabbath. Am I going insane? What did you think of that? I mean, was it a surprise? I suppose you've already heard Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, so it won't be that surprising. But Ozzy's song.
Yeah, it was good.
It is a good song.
Yeah, I mean, it's also kind of good and insightful. so insightful. It's sort of like
insane. And it's because am I going insane? Radio. So everyone looks at that and thinks, they're telling the radio station to play the pop song. It's radio rental equals mental. And again, it's typical Sabbath, and they shouldn't have thought it through. People will think, they're trying to get people to play them on the radio. I'm sure to this day, that's what people think it is. So it was the Writ, it was Sabotage, it was Bad Times. They were stressed and they weren't happy at this point. That's why they're so angry on the album, supposedly. You have to remember they were managed by Patrick Meehan, dodgy gangster dude. He was like sort of Don Arden's right-hand man, because 1970, Don Arden comes up to Sabbath and says, I want to manage you. And they were like, oh my God. So they said, no, it's fine, thanks. They were originally managed by a guy named Jim Simpson, but they needed a bigger manager, someone who had the connections and all that. And Jim Simpson was just some brummy guy, He was perfect for the first bit, but they needed someone else. So they had Jim Simpson suing them because they just left him and didn't. So what Don Arden did was he sent his right-hand man, Patrick Meehan, to pretend it was him, and it was supposed to be Don Arden behind the scenes. And of course, Patrick Meehan double-crossed Don Arden and just managed them separately and nicked them. And it was the most, you read about it, it's the most dodgy thing. They could have anything they wanted once they were successful. Can I have a house? Oh, we'll buy you a house. Can I have some money? No. Do I get any pay? No. You can have anything you want, though. It was the most dodgy deal going on. And eventually they realised they had to get rid of him. So they got Patrick Meehan suing them. I think that was what the delay was. Although they played the California Jam in the middle of it. That was what the delay was all this litigation, and they tried to manage themselves, and it was just, obviously they were incredibly stressed, and they'd lost all their money. They hadn't made any money because Patrick Meehan had taken all the money, and they were having to tour and make albums to make money to fund the legal cost of fighting the guy who they got rid of. So it was all sabotaged. Everything was trying to be sabotaged. The Writ is Ozzy's lyrics about that Patrick Meehan gave them a writ as they went on stage, apparently. And of course the cover, which was supposed to be this mirror thing, and apparently they turned up. The idea was what we need. Everyone needs to be dressed in black. They've got to be in Black Sabbath clothes. You don't really see them in Black Sabbath clothes until the 90s. Well, maybe with Dio, or whatever. So, of course, that was written somewhere, and then they got there, and the people doing the shot hadn't made any black clothes. You got black? No, I haven't got black clothes. Bill Ward apparently was naked. He just didn't have any clothes on. Somehow he was there and he was naked. So I said, well, we'll just do some practice shots. Just put something on so you're not actually naked. Okay, so Bill Ward puts on his wife's tights and finds the jacket, and Ozzy probably brought that with him, his wife's gown. Must have done. And okay, we'll try some test shots and we'll take the photos. And that was the cover. And that's so typically Sabbath, isn't it? It's such a shame because the previous cover is really good. And it's a similar concept, actually. They've got the light and the dark in the two sides of it. So there you go. Yeah, so ultimately Ozzy wasn't happy with that. He thought they should make... Basically, Ozzy thinks they should just make Master of Reality over and over again. And in the end, he got what he wanted, really. Yeah. California Jam was the other thing I didn't talk about. That's another farce. In that they weren't going to play. Because there was arguments about who was going to headline. They just said, well, we won't. Leave it to the LP and do it Purple to have a fight. And of course they did. And then suddenly they had to do it. They'd signed the wrong thing or something, and they had to do it so that they hadn't rehearsed. Apparently, so that California Jam performance they hadn't rehearsed, but they still had to do it. And it's some of the most seen footage of Black Sabbath, actually. Fortunately, there's better footage of this era. There's a 25-minute Don Kirchner thing. So yeah, 5 eggs. It's 5 eggs.
Yeah, definitely. 5 eggs. Sub clause. Awesome.
Yes.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't mention Blow on the Jug as well, which is the song at the end. Everyone says it's Bill Ward singing. Most of it is Ozzy, but there's a little bit of Bill Ward at the end.
Yeah. So what are we doing next week?
It's technical ecstasy.
Yeah.
But what I thought we should do, as we're doing Black Sabbath, it's a good time to start doing Genesis for the Patreon people. www.patreon.com/WentonKing. I think, particularly for the Patreon people who may not want to see Sabbath, we're also doing Genesis on the Patreon. So you will be getting Wind and Wuthering maybe mid next week, I think, when this comes out. I think that's what it can be. Yes. Enjoy.
Exciting.